Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Purple Stars podcast. I'm Sarah, your host, and we are so thrilled about today's guest. She is a full-time contemporary artist, and her art has been around the entire globe. She is a dog lover, and she is not just very talented, but she is a woman that is brave and will empower you with this conversation. So we are very thrilled to have her on the show. Please welcome Kate Tova.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we are so thrilled to have you on the show. You are traveling so much, so it took us a while to schedule our interview. That's why we are even more excited that it's happening today. We have a lot of questions. There's so much we want to find out about you, and that's why we are going to dive right in. You said that your grandmother has been a huge inspiration for your artwork. Would you like to share a little bit more how she has shaped you as an artist?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in rural Russia, so a very small town. And my childhood was, I mostly I always loved animals and nature and, all the allowance, basically pennies that I got from my grandma, my parents, I would spend it on feeding stray dogs and cats. And I had appreciation to nature from early age. And I think painting was a way to escape reality to me at that time. And kind of, I had this gloomy cloud above my head of like doom cloud at that time of like, I didn't know if I could be an artist, and I always wanted, to have my dog and have my animals. So the painting was a way for me to experience all that, and experience freedom. And my grandma was and is a big part of my inspiration because of her love to nature and animals and the way, like how hardworking she is. So I definitely have that in me now.
And one of your main themes in your art is freedom. What's your personal definition of freedom? And is there something you think helps you to have greater freedom, both in your personal and in your professional life?
Wow. Freedom. I mean, to be honest, I feel freedom the most when I paint. That's like the ultimate feeling of freedom because you're like, my mind is completely free of thoughts, of worries, of, what's about the past and agonizing about the future. And honestly, there's such a big connection to the way animals are. And like when I look at my dog, they're just constantly in that state of like just being present, and like just celebrating life and feeling free and happy and being in the moment. So there's a lot to learn from nature and animals because that's just like their constant state, I feel like, of being.
So every dog obviously is very special, but your dog not just has a special personality, but also a very special talent. I remember finding your dog on Instagram. And so we have every Tuesday something that's called Patspiration. And on that very Tuesday, we shared your dog and we wrote, anything is possible. And could you share about your dog's special talent and how you discovered it or how she discovered it? It was just mind blowing, and I will never forget the day I posted that because so many of our followers reached out and said, "Wow, I cannot believe this dog can actually." So the rest I will let you share.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing it. My dog, her name is Toochi. She's a rescue. I adopted her here in San Francisco. So, and when I adopted her, she was very anxious. So very shy, very nervous. She would just constantly, when she meets new people, she would hide or just like really, really just be scared of any noise and pretty much everything around her. And it really helped me before I fostered over like 40 dogs when I lived in New Orleans for a rescue named Take Paws. I love them. So that really I learned a lot about dogs and the way they are and how different they are, how, their levels of energy is completely different. And it doesn't even depend on breed, to be honest. Sometimes it's just, the way the dog is and like how dogs, some are very dominant and some are very submissive, and how important it is to match your energy to the energy of the dog that you're getting. That's why I'm very, very pro adopting, and because it is the best way to match your energy level to the dog that you're getting, I guess. So I really, really connected with Toochi because she's just very chill dog, even though she is an Australian cattle dog, that's why I'm saying it is not a typical thing at all. Like, yeah, it is. She turned out to be 100% cattle dog, which is, usually they have a lot of energy, but she's definitely, she's super smart dog. And I saw how quickly she learns, even though, she has this anxiety. And what I realized is that when I teach her things and, when she sees this mentor, I guess, she relaxes. And painting, like teaching her painting was like the best decision I made at that time, because this trick, even though it's hard to even call it a trick at this time because it's like just her process, but because it's a very kind of long trick and it really makes her kind of be in that more relaxed state longer. So she just paints, and like you can see her enjoying it and being more relaxed and just happy. And that makes me super happy.
I love the way you said it's important to match your energy to your dog's energy. And you took it to the next level because it's your personalities, but also your calling. And we read online, you said, creating art has been an emergency exit for you. And isn't it so beautiful and also magical that you chose a rescue dog, and her way of relaxation and probably also escaping certain traumas she has been through is also art. And a few years back, I found out about I think his name is Arno Stern. And so after World War II, he was responsible for taking care of kids, and obviously they had no money back then. So he thought, okay, why don't I let them paint? Because a piece of paper and a little bit of color doesn't cost that much. And he noticed a huge shift in them. They were less anxious, they were more open. And so he started to study more their behavior change, and it ended up being the Arno Stern. I hope it's the correct word and name. But he started this movement, and he went to Africa and all sorts of different places for kids with trauma to help them release some of that pain and have healing for art. And I find it so incredibly fascinating that it even is with dogs. And it's beautiful that how you help your dog to transform and also to help her healing. And I can imagine that she's probably doing the same for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is definitely a two-way, relationship and also she makes me, how much dogs read your energy. And I'm honestly a pretty anxious person myself, but for her, especially in the more like stressful situations, I almost need to like convince myself that I need to kind of put my stuff together, you know, and like be brave and confident for her. So she reads my energy, and she's also very calm and confident too.
You said you're an anxious person. I'm wondering, because as an artist, you are sharing your heart and you're sharing the most intimate of yourself with the world. What helps you to release part of that anxiety, and also what helps you to go for it regardless of the anxiety and the fear?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, art is my definitely number one remedy. And it goes together with nature, you know. So it's just whenever I feel anxious, I paint, or I go for a walk with Toochi in the park or for a hike. So that's, you know, the best remedy for me to kind of clear my thoughts, you know. And it's mostly anxiety. It's, you know, it's all in our head. So it's good to have, like, to me, it's a visual distraction, you know, but like a very peaceful distraction. So your brain has a chance to just focus on something, beautiful and calming.
I see it in my clients when I look at the difference between athletes and artists. So both of them are high performers, obviously. But the biggest difference is, in my opinion, athletes can win without the audience liking them. Obviously, it's much harder when you play a tournament and then the audience is not on your side, but you can still win Wimbledon without the people liking you.
Yeah.
But as an artist, the audience, you depend on the audience. If they don't like you, you're not going to sell any records, no paintings, nothing. How do you deal with this dance? I like to call it dance between the audience and you and the art, and also making sure that on the one hand, you do make sure your art is liked by others, but also at the same time, you are focusing on being true to yourself, and that you are not so much impacted by the thumbs up nor by the thumbs down.
Yeah, I think honestly, just learning so much over the years of doing art full time, what I learned is that the most important thing is to be true to yourself and actually not really think about pleasing anybody around you. The most important thing is to just create and really just the most pleasure that I get of, you know, when I create art is when it's something that is personal to me, you know, that is something that I just truly enjoy making. And then the magical thing that happens after is that you connect to the right audience this way. So basically, if, you know, you can't please everybody, it's just kind of an impossible thing. So that is something, you know, that a lot of artists experience in the beginning of, you know, their career, that like you kind of want to just everybody to love, you know, what you create, and maybe even follow some trends, you know, or kind of see like, oh, what is selling out there, because you really want to be a successful artist and sell your work. But it's almost like a reverse thing that you realize with time, because when you chase the trends and you kind of really pushing all like, your true parts of yourself away. And then it's just not it's harder for people to connect to your art and for you to talk about your art. So when you really create from your heart and create what you really truly want to put out there, you'll find the right people and the right audience. And it's just so much more meaningful this way.
You have achieved something that a lot of artists are dreaming about. It's your full-time job. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey? Because obviously you weren't born as a full-time artist. It took time, and it's a journey from getting, like probably having a few commissions, hardly getting by, and then now having your art around the world. What are maybe 3 things you would love to share with artists that are in the beginning of their career and are still wondering, wow, how could I ever get there? What are 3 things you would share to encourage them to keep going?
Okay. Yes, it's always a little bit hard since every artist's journey is very different, and mine, of course, was full of struggle, which is very common in the beginning for artists. And especially because I had this major change, when I moved from Russia to the US. And when I moved to New Orleans. And the first thing I did was actually going to a local dog park. And they had very typical of me. And so I basically, I didn't really have anything with me. I didn't really have great English or any friends or any paintings with me. So at the dog park, they had this adoption event with Take Paws Rescue. They had puppies, and I hugged them all and had a great time. So basically, in getting involved with that rescue was the best decision I made at that time, because I also made myself a part of that community that was very supporting. And I fostered a lot of dogs for them. I started doing live paintings and donating custom, dog portraits and pet portraits for their fundraisers. So this way, I kind of put these 2 of my obsessions together of dogs and art without even realizing it. But I guess so that's the advice number 1, is just to be a part of the community that you're in and let them know that you are doing art and that you want to help. And if you're passionate about some good cause, then do something, use your talent, because that just feels so much better, because a lot of artists struggle with just confidence, and it's a good way when you put your talent to a good cause, like this. So community is big, and it can also even be online community, which, Instagram, especially during the pandemic, was a really good one to have. And it's definitely, I learned over the years to unfollow the accounts that bring me anxiety, and you form your own community and follow the right accounts that inspire you.
True.
So, I guess the second advice would be, like I said, just staying true to yourself, to what you create, which is, really, really difficult in the beginning, especially if you don't have a lot of support. And like I had actually a part-time job, when I was kind of trying to do art full-time eventually, but I still needed some financial support. So it's always hard to just, dive in 100%, because you are dependent, you need to pay the bills. So it's definitely kind of good to feel it out and not to maybe go all in too early. So then you are not really dependent, I guess, on art as a, basically, moneymaker. So it's good. Yeah, it's good to have a slower transition and not to rush it, I guess.
There are a lot of people out there that say, oh, you gotta be all in if this is your dream. And I'm totally on your side. I think there's nothing wrong in having another job that supports you until you are ready mentally, emotionally, physically, network-wise, to be all in with your passion and your vocation. It's especially if it's not the plan B. Like I think people really need to differentiate of, am I having my second job because I doubt that I will ever make it, or am I having my second job because it is providing me the resources I need until I'm ready financially and have my setup? Because that's a big difference. And especially with artists, it's great to have a certain income, because pressure, and you know that much better than anyone else, pressure is a sucker for inspiration, especially if it's a financial one. So when having a little bit of a pillow and knowing, okay, I can pay my rent, I can have some food, I can pay my insurance, and everything else is a plus. It's a great way to start. And to me, this is also commitment, saying, okay, I am working X amount of hours to make my dream come true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very agree.
So, and can you tell us a little bit about your current collections and upcoming collections? We're very curious what you're working on and what's going to come up and what to expect.
Oh man, yeah, I'm working on a lot of things. That's kind of, another thing for artists. Honestly, it doesn't get much easier with time, because you'll have more and more projects, more and more pressures, and but it is very, very exciting. I am working on series of my own paintings and paintings that Toochi is making. My own paintings focus on female empowerment and freedom and our connection to nature. So I have these floral compositions that look like, these bursts of color and texture. And to me, they really symbolize all of those things. Yeah, like the freedom and connection to nature. And, like I love Georgia O'Keeffe, but the way she portrays flowers is more kind of like gentle and fragile. But the way I want to portray them is more powerful and bold and unstoppable, almost to redefine the femininity in the modern world. So I've been really, really passionate about that and that collection. So I'm hoping to launch it later this year or early next year. And the collection that Toochi is making, she gets busy in the studio here. She is under my table here. There are like these colorful paws all over the floors. If you were here, you would see it. It's really cute.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I actually have this painting here by her. So she basically, when I taught her to paint, it was basically a command of, just to hold something in your mouth and touch the canvas. But I never expected it to go to such high level, I guess, of artistic expression, because she she will do things that will shock me, like really long expressive brushstrokes, or she will do, a few dots that I never taught her to do in the first place, so I give her freedom of expression in that way. So she will do her thing, and they mostly look like these colorful clouds, and like she will dip it in paint, and some colors will drip, and some of them I kind of need to scoop like this thick paint for her, and then she would apply it, herself. So it's like a lot of texture on canvas this way. And her name actually means rain clouds. So her paintings almost, yeah, kind of look like that too, except, they're very colorful and they have drips.
That's amazing. And
It's
does
really
she
precious.
paint while you were painting, or how's the process?
Sometimes. So we do, sometimes when I just start a painting, I will let her paint, on her lower level of painting, especially when I have just a very large canvas on the wall. So it just extends, to the floor. So she will do her artwork kind of in the under layer. Sometimes I need to, paint it over because it's my work. And at least she has fun. But then, yeah, we did one of the videos we did on Instagram is that I put two easels back to back, and then I painted her on one side and she painted me on the other side, looking at each other. And that was just the most precious thing I think we ever done, because it was just really cute. But yeah, usually when we create a collection, I would focus more on her work. So we would, set up a canvas, her little easel, so she focused more on her process, I guess.
I am still blown away. I'm just imagining, like, some dogs, they only can do like sit and come, and your dog paints. It's insane. Do you sometimes still are like, wow, my dog is a genius?
Yeah, and I still can't really believe that she's doing that. And I never thought, when I adopted her that this would happen. And I just, while she's painting, I'm just laughing and I have this like most happiest face on me. It's pure joy for sure to watch her.
What else brings you joy apart from painting? I know it's a question that's very difficult for people to answer, for people whose vocation and calling is their life, because there's no personal and professional life. People with a calling breathe their calling, they think their calling, they dream their calling. So is there something else that brings you joy, or that you try to spend time with and immerse yourself in to not get all absorbed by art?
Yeah, I think it is actually being in the ocean is almost, it's actually very close to the painting process sometimes, because I surf. Yeah, that's how I'm in the ocean. That's what I mean. So just being in the water, especially catching the wave, but it's just this feeling of freedom that I have when I'm painting, because when you're in the water, you are really not thinking about anything else. It's like, again, your mind is clear and you're not thinking about your to-do list, which is usually, my big problem is that it's just always, in my mind, like, okay, I need to have this thing done. I have this meeting. I forgot to respond to this email. And it's just like always, I feel like, yeah, it's a big modern problem that we have. And the ocean has this magical ability to clear your mind in this way. And I think especially because you need to be very focused when you're surfing, when you're out there, otherwise the waves and the ocean will kick your ass. You will, yeah, you'll get wiped out and probably hurt if you're not paying attention. So that's almost, yeah, like you need to you're forced to just be very focused and watch the waves, but it is very relaxing, when you're actually doing it. Yeah.
Are there other similarities you see between surfing in the ocean and painting? Like, I'm not a surfer, so I'm on the beach watching people surf. But I always think, wow, it's really about loosening the grip and becoming one with the ocean, even if it tumbles you. And it's very similar to creating, whether it's writing or painting. It's you gotta loosen the grip in order to really get into that flow moment. Do you experience any similarities when it comes to the flow moment or anything else?
Yeah, honestly, a lot. There are so many similarities. Yeah, like you're saying, the state of flow. And I think especially, surrendering that control is huge. It's huge for art process, because when you're really trying to control every brushstroke and think about every, single little movement and how perfect it has to be, your painting is not going to turn out really well. And the same, with being in the ocean is just, you can't control every wave, you can't, you're basically, you just really, really need to surrender and enjoy the process. And it really applies to both.
What helps you? Early in our conversation, you said it's very important to create art from your heart. What helps you to get out of your head and to reconnect with your heart when you are, whether it's surfing or painting or anything else in life?
To reconnect.
I know, we want to know a lot.
Honestly, yeah. It's been helping me to read books recently, just as kind of like having this extra mentorship, if you will, and kind of have this advice from the greatest people out there, because we're all still figuring things out. So it's a great way, when you're kind of stuck and not really sure if you're going in the right direction, to have some great advice, because we don't always have great mentors that are our friends, and it's often hard to connect to those great mentors, to have a coffee with them. So books just really helped me to answer some questions I had, and to inspire me, and to kind of keep me going through some hard moments.
I see this with a lot of high performers, especially artists, that it's hard for them to find like-minded and like-hearted people to have conversations about the process they're experiencing. And listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos and reading books of people that we don't know otherwise is such a great gateway of stimulating our mind and our hearts and finding the answers to questions that we sometimes don't even know what questions they are. How does it work in your personal life when it comes to friends? Are your friends artists, or all sorts of different, do they have all sorts of different other professions?
Yeah, honestly, all sorts of different professions. And that's, I think, the thing that inspires me the most, is when I talk to them and they have, their own ideas and their own world. I actually get ideas from that. And the same about like books and podcasts, is that sometimes it's actually better to listen to something that kind of like outside of maybe of your immediate, like career or interest, because like you just learn some amazing things that exist out there. And yeah, I think with friends, it's just important to have just supportive people. And I guess with artists, especially, it's great to have somebody who understands that sometimes you just want to be in your studio all day and you're not feeling super social. And, how it's just recently, it's really hard to say no to things. And to me, art is such a big priority that I make sure that my friends understand that, it's no hard feelings, that I just want to create all day today. And I don't really want to hang out, but I will in the future.
It's a very good point to explain, especially to new friends upfront already, saying, hey, I love spending time with you. One thing I want to make sure you know about me, I'm an artist and I love creating, and sometimes it just comes unexpectedly, and sometimes I just disappear for a certain amount of days or weeks or months. I don't know how long it is in your case. And it has nothing to do with you. And so I think it's really important to communicate that. But I can also imagine it's a big difference if someone is dating you or someone is friends with you, because if you disappear for like a few months, it might be very difficult.
Yes. No, that's why it's good to warn people. Exactly. Like sometimes, when a friend reaches out to me and say, oh, there's an event next week, let's go. And I will say, for example, that I'm taking a month off social events. So, we can still chat, and text, but they will just not reach out to me about any more social events where I will have to, say no again and then no again. And then it's kind of good this way that I give myself space and they know what's going on. So yeah, good heads up.
There's so much more that I would love to ask, but I think we probably need to do a follow-up interview for that.
Yes.
To close our conversation today, I have a few dog-related questions. So the first question, if your dog could write a book about your life together, what juicy secret would she share?
Wow. A secret about our life together.
Yes.
Right? Wow. What is our secret, Toochi? She's looking at me with her loving eyes. Man, I think it's just secret. I don't know. We don't have many secrets, to be honest, with our social media presence.
So maybe the juicy hopping over to Instagram.
Yeah, I know. We share all of our struggle and all of our victories. Yeah, I think it's just we just help each other to live in the moment and appreciate every moment and celebrate life. We're learning.
Like, and the next question is, what is one of the reasons you're grateful for your dog?
I think because she inspires me to be more confident and brave, and in art, is just to go for it, because when I see her, there will be a white canvas in front of her and she just like goes for it. She just, starts painting. And the thing about us humans is that we overthink things. We'll look at that white canvas and we're like, oh my God, I don't want to mess it up. And just, looking at her and seeing her to just go for it is very inspiring for me. So.
And if Toochi could speak for one day, what do you think she would say?
I love you.
Yeah, I'm sure she was like, I love you. I love my life. This is the best ever.
Yeah, I think that's why we love our dogs. They just have this unlimited amount of love to give. So we give it back. We try to give as much of it as we can.
Yeah, dogs really are grateful. And really amazing. And there's so much to be grateful for. And on this note, Kate, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. If you loved our conversation with Kate as much as we did, please share it with your family, with your friends. Don't forget to tag us on social media to keep the conversation going. And we're really excited to have you back next Wednesday.